Oh, my goodness. And there it is. Wow, get the pin to go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bowl TV for continued coverage of the 2021 U.S. Women's Open taking place at Double Decker Lanes in Rohnert Park, California. My name is Aaron Smith. I'm going to be joined by Matt Cannizzaro and the rest of the Bowl TV crew in just a moment. But we are ready for the third practice session taking place here today. We've already have two patterns in the books, 36 feet for round number one. The 40-foot flat condition for round number two, and here for round three, 46 feet in length. So the longest pattern that we've seen so far here out of the four that will be featured at the 2021 event. And with that, we'll get into some of the details in just a quick second. Let's go out to the lanes first as our competitors have officially started their third 90-minute session of the day. You can see a few familiar faces there. Maria Jose Rodriguez, Julia Bond, Jillian Martin, Stephanie Zavala, Tanya Ramanpour, our runner-up in 2019, and a few other familiar faces as they get their first look at the pattern here. But let's bring in Matt just to say hello as we get underway. Joining me here at the Bowl TV studio. Matt, third pattern of the day, a little bit longer, but potentially they'll be a little bit easier to hit after 40 feet and flat the day before.
Well, you certainly think so. Of course, this event is a true test of versatility. And players, some are going to go out and get them one day, maybe not the next, and maybe some will have pretty good days on all three. But that's how it all shakes out, right? And sometimes we're surprised by what we expect is going to happen, maybe not so much, and they'll hit a pattern that they weren't supposed to, and vice versa. So definitely watching this event, watching the different ways to play the lanes and all the different players and styles, and it's all very cool, very intriguing if you're a bowling fan, just to go out and kind of look at the graphs and look at the game plans and see who's bowling well and figure out why.
We dropped the link already in the bowltv.com chat if you're following along on Facebook or YouTube. Hello as well. I'm glad everybody could join us here for this live look. And once again, 90 minutes of practice is what we're sitting here enjoying, talking about, taking a look at all the good stuff as we get underway and get closer to competition starting up tomorrow. We'll bring in the rest of the crew in a little bit. We'll go full screen though as we settle in here. Some pattern details. Once again, you can find them out, or you can find the graph and more at bowl.com/US Women's Open or PWBA.com. But 46 feet the length, a 41-foot drop brush, 21.72 mils, so a little bit on the lighter side compared to the first two patterns that were nearly 26 and 27 mils, using Kegel fire oil and a 2.84 to 1 ratio. And in kind of following a theme that we've seen here in qualifying, we've mentioned multiple times that Double Decker Lanes has been a familiar home to the PWBA Tour since the relaunch in 2015, having been here on 4 previous occasions. And we're going to be bringing back the pattern from the 2019 Sonoma County Open. So for those of you who recall that one, won by Shayna Ung over Missy Parkin in the title match, this one is going to have a little bit less oil. So we talked about the volume being a little bit on the lower side, so that's going to be the one big change. And a little bit longer is 42 feet in the pass. So same shape, a few different variables there, though. So according to Nick's notes from Nick Hoagland said this should be a pretty interesting pattern to watch it develop. Of course, it being on cut day as well is going to make for a couple of days. So this will be up on Saturday. So note taking very important for these competitors throughout this 90-minute session.
Aaron, I think I'm more impressed that these players can bowl for 90 minutes 3 times, potentially 4 in an entire day. Whereas I think collectively we've had about 90 minutes of bowling in all of 2021.
Yeah, that's a fair point. We would not be ready for this. We would have been done after the first practice session and would have called it a tournament right there. But for 5 of these competitors, or technically 24 of these competitors, are going to have 56 games underneath their belts by the time it's all said and done, with the top 5 advancing to the CBS Sports Network final on Tuesday, August 31st, 7 p.m. Eastern, with the opportunity to take home the $100,000 top prize announced just a couple of weeks ago. $100,000 to the winner here in 2021, the first 6-figure payday in professional women's bowling history, coming up here in just the next week or so.
56 games sounds like a kind of a short week for Verity Crawley, right? She had bowled 70 games at the Summer Classic Series a couple of weeks ago. So that was her endurance training for this event. This is no problem. This is a sprint.
That is true. That's a very solid point. 3 national events in one. Verity, the only player to make a match play at all 3, and at that point, she's the only one who's even possible to make the stepladder finals at all 3 events. She was able to do that, taking home a 4th place finish and a pair of runner-up finishes as well. So it was very impressive to watch. That moved her right into the thick of things for the PWBA Player of the Year race as well. And currently sits 2nd overall to Dasha Kovalova, who moved into the top spot after her 4th place finish last week at the Spokane Open. And I think we might be ready for another member of the broadcast team to join us here. I'm getting the thumbs up, Matt. So let's welcome him in, fresh off his flight. We saw him at the end of last block. Emil Williams Jr., EWJ, what's up?
How we doing, boys?
We're good. We can hear you loud and clear.
That's good. That's good, because I always worry about that. You know, you just never know when you check live audio. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But the kids look good, man. Look at Matt. You know, he's newest member of New Kids on the Block. Aaron's just Aaron, and I'm here. So it looks like the gang is back together.
Aaron just looks like Aaron. I don't know if I should be offended by that or not.
That's good. No, that's good. You haven't made any, substantial, noticeable changes like Matthew has, especially with his hair.
My hair hasn't changed in 2 decades. My haircut is older than half the players in the field this week.
Which also is true, except that the length is not quite as long as it normally is. How's everybody doing? Good people of Bowl TV, thank you so much. Appreciate the love as always. And I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, gents, I think this might be the highest scoring pattern of the 3. This is my opinion. Even the shots where you just start practice and the players throw the very slow shot, right? That first one, you can't get into full motion, full approach yet. You just watched it go slower, slower, and slower and slower. Got to the end of the pattern, and whoop, and now players have ramped up. And I've seen the majority of strikes, I would say, especially from the outside part of the lane. Haven't seen anyone jump in yet. Obviously, it's just a few minutes in, but I would anticipate, just my opinion so far, that this would be the highest scoring pattern, especially if there can be some opportunity to further break this thing down in practice. The good news is, though, they probably won't be able to do that because you only get a couple of shots on the competition pair. So theoretically, this is the look that the players should see when they get to this on Saturday. And I think it opens up very well throughout the block, but obviously we've got a long way to go before we can even get to that point.
Good point there, Emil. The players will have a warm-up, basically a practice range prior to the start of competition starting Thursday, where they'll get to warm up prior to the start of the competition round. They will get to go to the pair. They'll get a shot on each lane before it goes straight into competition. So essentially as fresh can get, unlike my haircut. You're going right into it and taking on these challenging patterns. With that, let's bring in another member of our broadcast team from Double Decker Lanes, Curtis VonKruger. KVK.
Oh, fellas, I've got a fever, and the only prescription is pattern 3. I gotta say, Emil, it's great to have you back.
I appreciate that.
We miss you immensely, and I'm sure the Bull TV audience misses you. If they had a choice between my shenanigans and yours, seems like they probably are picking yours. But they're still stuck with me nonetheless, and I have had a chance to kind of walk around and take a look at this pattern. And Emil, you're right. I'm already seeing a lot more solid hits into the pocket. Even with little misses, you're not seeing the 2-8-10s and the washouts like you were, especially on pattern number 2. So I feel like this is going to be another one of those make hay kind of patterns where you've got to kind of grind it out on pattern 2, try to make things happen on pattern 1. But maybe this is the shot where you really can try to make a move, or you can try to make up some ground if you find yourself on the back end of that pattern number 2, because that one looked pretty brutal pretty early, and I have a feeling the transition's not going to be playing anybody any favors either.
I agree. I actually think too, also with that, from what I've seen, there is the ability to miss early, and so if you do miss early right, I do think the 3 off the right is in play. But outside of those misses, and they don't have to be drastic for you to get 3 off the right on a pattern as touchy as this. But I think the reward certainly outweighs any risk that this is the place I should play. If I miss, I know the consequences. If I throw a good shot, I'm probably going to at least get 9 and perhaps strike. So I'll take that ratio any day.
Yeah, and this one, I think the players know that the extreme gutter is pretty much out of play here. They don't hook a lot. These are new surfaces. So that's definitely going to play into their decision making. And you see people, getting in. It seems like outside of 4 is pretty much going to be out of bounds for most of the patterns. But this new lane surface and these new approaches are absolutely gorgeous. And it's appropriate for this particular event. You try to make everything as consistent and even across the house as you can. You look at the practice ranges, only taking a couple of practice shots on your pair. That's really an effort to make the pattern play as consistently as possible across the board. So, this is going to be a test of versatility. It's going to be a test of endurance, because Emil, you get 16 games, you get 24 games, you get 36 games or 32 games into this thing. It wears on your body.
No doubt. It always does. And that's one of the things that I think the players enjoy, knowing that if you come away with the title at this event, you have completely earned that title. Even if you are able to make the show, a top 5 finish is no slouch when it comes to the U.S. Women's Open. And so they know that. And then obviously you throw in a few extra bucks, and we're not talking about just a few extra bucks. We're talking about potentially life-changing for some. And you throw that all in there, man, and shout out to Jim Decker and his staff here for what they've done to the place. We've got ourselves a great event on hand. But if I had to choose a favorite of the 3 patterns thus far, I'm definitely picking pattern 3 for sure.
Emil, I got a question for you. Put yourself in the shoes of one of these fine bowlers, and you take home that beautiful jacket and trophy, and also that $100,000. What's the first thing you're buying? Assuming your bills are paid.
Okay. Ooh. Are you trying to put this on your tease package that may or may not hit social media this week?
It may or may. It may or may or may.
Right. Do I get a few minutes to think about this?
We'll circle back around. We'll circle back around.
At the end of this practice session, I'll have an answer for
it. My answer was a lifetime supply of Fruity Pebbles.
Fair. I might have chosen a different cereal, but I like the idea. And theoretically, it probably doesn't cost you a lot either, right? So
no, absolutely not. I'm only spending about probably 20 grand on Fruity Pebbles. Just get a clean 20 of it and call it a day.
Well, you don't want them all at once though, because you don't want them to expire.
Yeah, you know what? That's right. So you just kind of set up an escrow account that just constantly draws, and you get fresh shipments of.
Like the opposite of when you win a large sum lottery. Like
Yeah.
you don't want the money, and
You don't want the annuity.
The cereal up front. You want the yearly situation. So
Yeah.
fresh cereal.
Take the annuity. Don't take the payout. Don't take the cash. What cereal would you choose?
Raisin Bran Crunch, Applejack, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
All right, Raisin Bran's a little rough choice, but you know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I support that decision. Man.
I'm 37 years old, man. Health is important. health is important.
You got to get that fiber. You got to get that fiber.
I got to stay around for my children.
I will say this. We talked about this last week. I would say the biggest upset in any bracket that I've ever seen. I saw a cereal bracket, and in the round of 32, shredded wheat beat Fruity Pebbles. In what world does that happen?
Was it frosted shredded?
What's that? No, it was just shredded wheat.
Oh wow!
Just like those big.
That's an issue.
BS, I tell you. I'm still upset about it.
That is trouble.
But man, it's so good to have you back.
No, it should be a fun week, and
yeah.
I look forward to interacting with the community as always. I know Aaron was asking a few questions and getting some comments on certain players and whatnot during practice too. Aaron, what were some of those questions you were throwing out at the chat?
I think the big one was just talking about kind of the moment we were watching Jillian Martin, who is JT's pick to click.
Okay.
This week, and just asking the audience who they think is going to be the player when it's all said and done, throwing the big shot on CBS Sports Network for all the cheese, if you will. So we got a lot of answers you'd expect. So a lot of folks not branching out too crazy, but obviously the Kelly Kulicks, Shannon O'Keefe's, Liz Johnson's, and Danielle McCune's of the world, very strong choises in that subject matter. So
safe choices, Aaron.
Yes, they were. I'll give them that. But if you're put in that position, who else would you pick? Who's going to be the surprise player this year who makes their run at the top five when it's all said and done? Potentially the top seed, potentially one win away from $100,000. The best part is you're gonna have to watch it all on Bowl TV to find out.
You know who I'm picking? You know who I'm picking? Stephanie Johnson. Stephanie Johnson. That is my surprise pick of the week. I think Stephanie's been close. She's bowling well. She's had some ups and downs this season, but this is where she's one of those experienced players. She's been on the highest levels for the highest moments and made the best shots of her career. So I really feel like Stephanie is gonna have a great week, and I saw her throw some shots on the previous couple of patterns. It looked pretty good, and she's a player, Emil, that can keep her angles closed down. She can control break point with speed very well. She has a lot of tricks in her bag, and she doesn't miss spares, and that just sounds like a recipe for success here at the U.S. Open.
No, I agree. I don't think it'd be a surprise though if she ended up either on the show or certainly winning it. I mean, obviously more than capable, and knows what it's like and what it takes to win a major. Winning the Players a few years back, but then also being the top seed at the U.S. Women's Open a couple of years ago. So she certainly understands and knows what it takes to get to that level. It's hard for me to pick someone right now, just because I didn't see the summer series. I didn't see Spokane. I kept up, but I didn't see it in person. So if I had to just go off the season, I would pick someone like Stephanie Zavala, who I think is versatile enough. I think she could be someone who would star on pattern 2 because she
can get left early.
She can get left. Her ball or her rev rate will allow maybe a few extra carried hits that some other players may struggle with. I'd like to see her look on this particular pattern where it looks like you kind of gotta be straight early on before you can get left. But someone like that who has proven to be worthy of winning a championship. Right, she's got 2 of them
Yeah.
at this point. So I would like Stephanie Zavala in that mix as well.
I love this. I love Sean St. Clair says he can see a Bowl TV branded cereal. It would have crunchy bowling balls as the main thing, and then marshmallow pins. I think that's a no-brainer there. Can we get Emil Williams' face on the box?
I'm not sure it would sell.
Oh, I think we go gangbusters there.
I don't know.
I think we'll go gangbusters there. Yeah, no, Alex, I agree. The Stephanie Johnson, that is my, and I think later on this week we'll log the official picks here, and see how we do, right? You got to have the receipts, and we're going to put our reputations and knowledge on the line, and see who can come up with the right answers. Here's another bowler, Emil, that I think that's bowling right in front of us right now, who has been insanely consistent, but has yet to really break through into those stepladder finals, and that's Maria Jose Rodriguez. If you want to talk about a player that can get right, that is versatile, she's been there in the big moments before. I feel like Maria Jose Rodriguez is just, a shot here or there away from really being one of those top players in this field.
I agree, and then also just watching her throw a few shots. She missed left a couple of times, and the ball just kind of went straight, got into the oil, and continued on. And so again, it looks like there could be some more for her. Like, I don't know what happens if players miss left. I don't know if I've seen that yet outside of what Maria's does. I think if you miss right, we know what the situation could be, and it's you're out the right or gutter. But I think surface will be in play on this pattern, especially early. This might be one pattern where I'm actually looking forward to. I hope the players continue to bowl so we can see a little bit of transition and see them jump left towards the end of this practice session, just because of the
It's hard in an hour and a half, though, as you know. We're gonna have an 8-game block, and there's just not the lineage that's gonna go down. And we've seen that. We saw that in the summer series, where that first qualifying round, when you hit game 7, game 8, when you're used to bowling 6-game blocks, all of a sudden you're simulating a burn. Where we're usually in a lot of fresh oil, and so they're going to have to be able to kind of extrapolate and imagine what's going to happen to this shot. And it makes it, what do you think? I mean, as a competitive bowler, you can only bring 10. You're not going to be drilling anything new this week. You can mark your 10 balls, and then you got to call it a day. That's got to play into a little bit, because you can't fine tune. You've got to just kind of rough it out and say, okay, these are kind of the broad strokes I need, and then you've got to rely on your versatility to get you the other way there.
I would say that 10 balls at this level would be plenty with the addition of Aberlon pads and the ability to change surfaces. But again, it's still, you're only as good as what your arsenal can be in some situations. So you try to do your best with the reps, pick the right equipment. That's always one of the things we look forward to anyway, right? Every U.S. Open or U.S. Women's Open is kind of that. All right, players have figured out, like, maybe they've got their bench 5 or 6, and now they're trying to figure out, okay, do I need to fill a hole here? Do I need this here? Maybe we got a guess on this. So, that plays a role, but, I think ultimately, they know what they're doing. And if this was Aaron or no, this was Matt for sure. Matt would have picked like 10 game breakers, the original ones, and he'd be good to go.
G2G. I just saw Stephanie Zavala just absolutely bone crush one in the pocket there, and I like her line. She's definitely moved in. She can play that steeper angle. Again, to coin to quote an Aaron Smith phrase, she's got that voodoo roll, Aaron or Emil.
That's why I think again, if we're looking at players who, and she's not even probably put in the surprise category because she's a
No, she can't.
champion at this point.
She's not sneaking up on anybody.
I think we're used to saying or placing those who we feel the most confident or who have been there before, like you said earlier, right?
Yeah.
So we have to look past that in some situations, and Stephanie Zavala is someone who you would say, okay, we haven't seen her at a U.S. Women's Open.
Exactly.
So, but we've seen her body of work throughout the season. I feel like that would be someone who could get it done.
Well, we saw her on a really difficult shot with suspect carry in Farmingdale, right? You and I had a front row seat for that broadcast, and she made it look like she was bowling on a different lane. And I just saw her take out her honey badger, and when you put that badger in her hand,
the intensity specifically,
it's dangerous. I mean, she loves that ball.
Aaron, what else is happening back at the HQ with you and young Matthew as you guys take in this third practice session? What are you guys seeing?
Well, I had some fun facts along the way as you guys were doing your thing. Getting back to Maria Jose Rodriguez, very interesting stat on her season. We've had 16 events, 15 count toward points, towards earnings, match play appearances, all that stuff. The Lucy does count as a PWBA tour title, but not necessarily toward the stats for the season. Maria is the only player to cash in every event so far this year. She is 15 for 15. However, when you look at her position in the points and earnings, she's a little bit farther back. So currently 17th in points overall, has not had a championship round appearance. But you got to think of some of the past U.S. Women's Open, or excuse me, U.S. Opens. Specifically, Maria has been bowling those. She's very familiar thinking outside the box on these type of patterns. And to top it all off, her nickname is Major Maria. So I kind of have her as one of my, certainly not a sleeper, but someone who I'm looking forward to kind of having that breakthrough performance of this season after such a phenomenal 2019. Still kind of looking for that first big hit of the season, if you will. I think this might be her week out here on the PWBA tour for 2021. And then one of the things I've really been enjoying watching on this pair has been Annalise O'Brien, who is another young standout. We got to see her at Junior Gold. She's a past Junior Gold champion, winning the U15 division twice in a row, member of Junior Team USA. And she just throws it so incredibly well. I mean, it's just so fun to watch her just effortlessly bowl. I mean, it's, essentially, we talk about kind of Julia Bond being, that player for, I guess now the players who are in the mid-20s. And, obviously Jillian Martin has the power aspect to it, as we're going to see it right there with what she can do to a bowling ball. But there's Annalise far left of your screen. There's just something so effortless and clean about her game that I'm just excited to see throughout the course of the week to see if she can make some noise in this field as well.
Well, and it's a testament. It's really honestly a testament to the power of Junior Gold. Junior Gold emulates this kind of grind. You have limited equipment. You're bowling the best of the best in that tournament. The pressure's on. The stakes are high. And so you can see that these players that have succeeded or excel in that environment can extrapolate and take that experience with them as they look to bowl bigger events. But again, this is a different beast altogether. And while Junior Gold is a great preparatory course, it's like going from college football to the NFL. The speed of the game, the intensity, the skill level of everybody. These are all the best bowlers in their respective areas, and so these young players like Annalise and Jillian, are really, it's a big ask. It's a tall order for them as they look to try to find success in this field.
Curtis, now, you can't bring that kind of stuff to myself and Mr. Williams, knowing that Justin Fields, our new soon-to-be starting quarterback for the Chicago Football Bears, said the game wasn't moving too fast for him. And Justin Fields is going to be a 18-year starter for the Chicago Bears moving forward on this. So, so the transition time is not too much for everybody. So I just want to put that in play there. When Justin Fields is leading the Bears to the Super Bowl in the near future.
How many starting quarterbacks have the Bears had in the last 10 years? When Jay Cutler is your best starting quarterback in the last 10 years, it's been rough sled.
At this point, we're starting over, clean slate with Justin Fields.
But then didn't they name Andy the starter?
Technically, yes, that's what's going to happen. But we all know the truth.
They didn't draft Justin Fields to hold a clipboard. We all
know the truth.
Well, I think the New Orleans Saints finally have decided on their starting quarterback.
Shouldn't have been a contest, but that's not a conversation for this podcast.
But again, Aaron, you're absolutely right. I think the learning curve has definitely shortened and become a little bit less steep. If you looked at the old tours, you were coming out, right? And your first 3 years were a wash. That really wasn't indicative of your skill or your career potential, although some players have had early success, but it was just getting acclimated to the pro game. Whereas now you do see players like Stephanie and Julia and Gigi and these incredible players come out and find success very, very early. And I think that's a testament to two things. A testament to the junior bowling available, the emergence of the elite youth tours of the world, and a testament to collegiate bowling. And Emil, this is something obviously you can speak to directly. How have you seen the collegiate game advance the professional game over since you were a collegiate bowler at Lindenwood to now?
Oh, well, it's probably off the charts in a sense, and many of the players who were bowling when I was competing are bowling right now on this tour. Stephanie Johnson, Clara Guerrero, just to name a couple. So to give a basis within them, and so to go from those great players and then to continue to improve upon and continue to create great players even at this level now. There's a ton more players. I think Crystal Elliott is in the field this week. I think she'll be a great example to watch. She is the Division I Player of the Year, NCAA. So we'll get to watch her firsthand. And obviously, a coaching, of course. We think about Shannon immediately. We can think about both Shannons for that matter, O'Keefe and Pulowski, in that sense. But the want to invest into young athletes has been astounding. It has cut, I believe, what you just talked about, cut that learning curve in some cases in half, maybe by a third, at least a fourth. And we continue to see great performances by young players. And to kind of end it on the Annalise O'Brien situation, she doesn't look nervous or scared to me every time I see her bowl.
No, absolutely not.
Obviously, with Jillian Martin. Same thing we can go with Mabel Cummins, since Willie mentioned in the chat. It is unparalleled to what we see from young players today. They're just a bit more ready for this environment than I would just throw my age group out there than my age group back in that. Good point. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff there. Good stuff. Aaron?
Well, folks, we're about 35 minutes through this practice session. Once again, it's 90 minutes long before we shut down the cameras for today. There will be a fourth practice session a little bit later this evening for the fourth oil pattern. We're not going to be live for that because historically, not too many folks stick around to bowl that one. So we will be concluding our coverage after this particular evening's block or this block that's ongoing at the moment. So once again, we'll get started with the 36-foot pattern. A squad will hit the lanes tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 local time. Over on the West Coast, And folks, of course, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, we're available right now with this live look into the practice session, not only on bowltv.com, but on Facebook, the USBC and PWBA social media channels, as well as the Bowl TV YouTube page. So a big hello and thank you to everybody for joining us here. Of course, all the good folks joining us on Bowl TV as well. I saw my good man, Matt Russo, sneaking in the chat there on Bowl TV as well. So I want to give Matt a congratulations on his victory, first career PBA Tour victory just a week or two ago. So Matt, congratulations on that. Hopefully Lauren passed on all the good news we passed to her about when we talked to her right after the fact here on Bowl TV, since she was competing at the Summer Classic Series. So that was pretty awesome stuff. But yeah, bowltv.com will be the place to be to watch all of qualifying, all match play, and we're going to have all pairs in play covered. We only have a few of them up and available right now for the practice session, but when everything's up and running and doing its thing, we're going to have every pair in play covered throughout the course of competition. So you'll be able to hop around, follow your favorite athletes throughout their blocks of qualifying. We're going to do that for 3 straight days. 3 days, 8 games for each squad. And at the end of 24 games, the top 24 competitors are going to move on to the next round. They're going to go, and they're going to be set for the rest of the way out. Qualifying round number 4 is going to be the introduction of the 4th pattern. They'll have one more 8-game block before they transition to round-robin match play. We'll have 3 rounds, 8 games apiece of round-robin match play, 23 different matchups, concluded by a position round. And after 56 games, total pinfall included, we will know our 5 players advancing to the stepladder finals here at the U.S. Women's Open. Pattern number 3, once again, 46 feet in length. It's getting some wear and tear on it now. So we'll see if it moves as the transition continues. Birgit Norreichs, fresh off her 2nd career PWBA Tour victory at the Summer Classic Series, winning the Go Bowling Classic. Good question from John in the Bowl TV chat. There will be live scoring available this week. If you're clicking on the link right now, it's probably not working because it looks like they're in practice mode. So the machines aren't tallying the scores that it is, but live scoring will be available as well. So you can find that link and more if you're on pwba.com or bowl.com/US Women's Open. Or here on Bowl TV, if you go right above the chat, you'll see a few different tab options. If you click the middle one, that'll bring you to a page with all the information that we're using while we're talking about bowling here and not about cereal. Although the internet also a very useful resource for cereal information. But we have all that information available at our fingertips, and so do you as the viewer. So be sure to check out those, get comfortable with that page, get familiar with it. All the U.S. Women's Open information you'll need is going to be right there for you to access along the way.
Aaron, getting back to your stat about Maria and her perfect cashing record at this point, and I hadn't looked yet, so forgive me, but she is not the only player to have that stat. Did I hear you say that correctly?
She is the only player to.
The only player, okay.
Only player, yeah. Although I guess it should be fair to say there could be players who also have cash in every event they bowled, but
Sure.
for folks who have bowled every event, she is the only one.
And I feel every season we get a stat or two like that where it's either someone is perfect in cashing, but like you mentioned, from the points perspective, not in the mix simply because hadn't had a championship round appearance yet, or someone was the only player to. I'm trying to think if Diana had a cool stat like that a couple seasons ago. I think it was maybe the only player to make the tour championship, but didn't make a championship round appearance or something along those lines. So it's always one of those kind of outlier, cool type stats, but really gives you a kind of a firsthand account or bird's eye view into just how consistent a particular player may be. In this case, we're talking about Maria. Although the wins haven't been there, she's putting herself in some position, obviously, to get to that point. And sometimes an entire season certainly could lead up to major moments, which we both know, we all know she is very familiar and knows how to get the job done in.
Yeah, it's been one of those years where it seems like Maria is just a game or two away each tournament. If you give her an extra game or two, she would find a way to get there, and it just the timing of it all hasn't been on her side so far this season. And coming off her 2019, I believe she made 4 shows, and it was excellent as well, representing Team Columbia, which I know Matt could probably rattle off a couple of her victories. Of course, the big one, the team competition at the IBF World Championships. I believe she bowled well at the Pan Am Games as well in 2019. But 2019 certainly was a banner year. Obviously, 2020 happened, and we didn't get to have the tour season. The international competition did not continue. But yeah, looking for Maria to kind of regain that momentum she had in 2019, and really a great opportunity here at the U.S. Women's Open to do that and put her mark on this season. Player who has made her mark on this season, Dasha Kovalova, currently leading in points, 2 wins, 6 shows, and has proven that there was a place to move up from after a phenomenal 2019. I mentioned this a couple of times just throughout the course of this year. I've been impressed with the steps Dasha has taken each and every season on tour since finishing up her great collegiate career at Wichita State. And she's made small improvements each and every season. And you kind of saw her taking the steps to get where she is today, but it wasn't overnight. We talked about, some of the quick success. We had the conversation about, players taking a couple of years to get their feet comfortable underneath them on tour. And for Dasha, one of those players, throughout 2017, 2018, making steps towards getting into a position to compete to win. 2019 broke through that door. 2021 has pushed that even further, now leading the Player of the Year race.
Yeah, not only sustaining, but improving and setting new marks, if you will. And she's just been, as you said, phenomenal. Watching the continued growth. I mean, all the great players do it, right? I mean, you have a great season, but you don't sit back and say, all right, I had a great season. You cannot expect that to repeat itself unless you put in that work. And obviously the players unfortunately had some extra time on their hands to do so, but nevertheless, she has put in the work, continues to get better. And I just remember her, what she did collegiately, and every time we saw her air and bowl an event or two early on in before she became a member, we just knew it's like, okay, at some point this is going to happen. Dasha is going to show everyone, why she was a 4-time, first team All-American, for example. And 2019 was that year, and to continue to see that, and to put herself in position to win Player of the Year is just amazing.
The players put together a really solid season. Birgit Norreichs mentioned the win a little bit earlier, but she didn't bowl the Summer Classic Series, or excuse me, the Kickoff Classic Series, the very first event in January. So we didn't see Birgit competing here until that second stage of the tour, which started in April, the event Dasha won at the Twin Cities Open. But she has really put together a phenomenal campaign. Just looking at the stats overall, currently in the top 10 in points, sitting in 9th overall. And, she was able to put together a win here, might sneak into that player of the year conversation as well that we've been having ongoing throughout the season. But, 4 championship round appearances, of course, 2 shows at the Summer Classic Series, the win to go along with it. Birgit is a player that we've seen very close to massive years, I think, here on tour over the past couple of seasons. Just had the doubles win to show for it in 2017 with Jason Sterner, but always a threat to make the show, and was able to cash it in at the Summer Classic. But I think Birgit, just talking to players not to sleep on this week, she can get on fire with the best of them, and then it's everybody catching up. Very memorably at the 2016 Queens, that was kind of our introduction to Birgit. I think she ended up averaging 240 over the course of her 15 games of qualifying on the way to leading, I think nearly setting the record or setting the qualifying record on her way to making that show. And it's been, we've seen the progression, we've seen the skills, we know it's there. And hopefully the confidence of, getting that first individual win earlier this month will allow her to continue that throughout the rest of the season and, of course, throughout the rest of her career.
Yeah, I would think so, Aaron. And I think this, with the announcement, obviously, of the added funds and the first place prize to this event, and then the added funds to what now will be a tour championship at the end of this season as well, makes it kind of bring it back to 2019 in a sense, or at least the previous years of the tour pre-COVID. When you got to the end of the season, it was like, okay, what's on the line. It's majors kind of theoretically from here on out. And players, step their game up. They know what's at stake. They know what's on the line. So you had majors, then obviously you got player of the year. And so all of those things now are coming to fruition. We've got a great player of the year race. We've got at least 2 majors left. Obviously, we get started tomorrow officially here with competition. And so the level of intensity has risen. And it's going to continue to rise this week, each and every qualifying spot, because, players are trying to make that top 24 cut. And they know if they do that, they're going to give themselves the best chance to make some life-changing type cash. So Birgit, who had wanted certainly to win a singles title, and I think, I remember her saying this in Cleveland, and, it stuck with me that she said some players were saying that she didn't have a title because she had won a doubles title. And that clearly had irked her. And it was one of those things where it's like, all right, I'm about to show them what's good. And she did. And we all knew she could play. There's no doubt about that. And now she has proven it, and maybe to herself. I think she knows that. But once you get that title, in her case, the singles title, quote unquote, I think that just helps solidify what she already knew, and certainly what the rest of the tour knew as well.
She did double down on that comment after the fact when we had her on after the win at the Go Bowling Classic. So, definitely a little extra motivation from that.
I think that's good too. When she said it, initially I was kind of like, oh, wow, okay. And then I was like, yeah, say it. Like, it bothers you. It upsets you. Talk about it. And it's okay to allow that, that part of the emotional circuit to come about. And, obviously she took care of business, and that's no longer a conversation. It probably shouldn't have been to begin with, but, I think that sometimes you get a little of that underlying, what may be said around, certain players and all that kind of stuff, which every now and then is good to hear.
Another player who's on our featured pair having a nice season, Aaron McCarthy. No stranger to success here at the U.S. Women's Open as well. Made back-to-back shows a couple of years ago. Of course, in 2017 would have been interesting to see how that would have gone if she was at 100%. She was fighting some back issues on her way to making that show. So I knew she wasn't 100% comfortable on that one. And of course, Liz Johnson went on to win that title. But Erin McCarthy has put together a real nice season. Came out of the gates firing at the Kickoff Classic Series. Has added a additional championship round appearance in the mix there throughout the course of the season. She actually moved pairs over there, so she is.
She didn't move. She did. She's off to the left, though. We could be able to see her a little bit. But you can still talk about it.
It's gotten a lot of national news this year as well with her work as a registered nurse in the greater Omaha area. AP story a couple of weeks ago, out on the presses.
Yeah, I mean, what she's done with from the health perspective and the medical field, you know, I'm sure she would say would outweigh anything she's done on the lanes. But to have that type of individual to be able to work in, you know, such environments where, you know, some of the things she has seen, then to be able to try to come out here and be able to get back at it from the athletic perspective. You know, it's two totally different worlds, and she seems to be able to kind of go back and forth seamlessly in that regard, which is not the easiest thing certainly to do. So very happy for Erin. You know, talk about the injuries and such, and she had been battling those for a little bit. So, but yeah, you mentioned a good point, Mr. Smith. You know, I go back to that event. Speaking of the back injury, where she couldn't even sit down, she had requested to stand during the show because she was in such pain. You always wonder what if you will, and I'm sure she has been wondering that too.
We got Valerie Bercier, the 2019 Rookie of the Year, joining the mix here.
Another player who's made a U.S. Open show, the same one.
Yep. And was the only other player outside of Liz Johnson, I believe, to bowl a 200 game on that. That show played tough.
Which was not indicative of the scoring pace.
Correct. No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. The scores were relatively high for a U.S. Women's Open that particular year. But, yeah, the show was tough. But, yeah, that was kind of the introduction for a lot of folks to Valerie. And she was able to come out in 2019. Wasn't even sure if she was going to bowl the entire year when she joined as a member and was getting ready to partake in 2019. Was going to see how the first couple of events went. She was able to get off to a great start in Cleveland. Our top 10 finish right out of the gates. Finished second at the regional that was taking place with that event as well. And just kind of kept parlaying that, made a show. Was the show here? Was that Double Decker Lanes? Was it Sonoma or was it?
Yes, it was. It was Sonoma. Yes. Yep. I think she finished third. But it was here, though. She was on the show with Stephanie Johnson. Of course, Shayna Ung, who eventually won. I want to say Missy made the show as well. That was kind of that. It wasn't necessarily the hometown, but it was that Cali-based situation for Missy.
Missy was the top seed for that one.
Yep.
So Valerie finished fourth, lost to Stephanie in the opening match, and then Shayna 267, 259 for the victory. Including, I think she had the front 7, front 8 in that title match, if I remember correctly.
Shayna,
yep.
Yeah, I believe so. It was a situation where you know, someone who certainly has won on this tour capable, but you know, if players or people are saying, man, she hasn't won since the relaunch and all of that kind of stuff, you know, Missy was like bowling so well. And it was really Missy and Shayna who had bowled the best overall throughout that entire week. And of course, they ended up meeting in the finals. And you were thinking, Missy, this might be that tournament for her. And of course, Shayna Ung, who has done multiple times, certainly on this tour, has had different ideas, had different plans. And she bowled very, very well, of course, to get that win.
And as we mentioned earlier, looking at this pattern here, 46 feet in length, 21.72 mils using Kegel fire oil, 2.84 to 1 ratio. According to Nick's notes, has the same shape as the 2019 version for the Sonoma County Open, the event we were just talking about, but less oil with the volume and a little bit longer. So that event was 42 feet, this one 46. So some similar characteristics, obviously, with the new lane beds are going to doing their own thing and making it play a little bit different, but certainly some parallels.
I've seen a little bit more, and I don't really recall from my previous years here, but I've just seen the pins kind of react a little differently. They seem to be a bit more lively, and it could just be the way maybe this pattern are allowing bowling balls to kind of hit and continue through the 1-3 a little bit, or maybe more propensity to carry a light mixture on this type of condition. The one thing I can say, since we've now reached nearly the 30-minute mark, or the 30-minute remaining mark, is because of the length of the pattern, I think you have seen a few more pocket 7-10s that the ball just going a little too long, and it's late to get to the 1-3. It's late entering, so I think that propensity will be there. The pocket 7-10s of the world. So something to kind of keep an eye on as when we get to this on Saturday.
Well, Emil, you do have a strong eye for another note for Mr. Hoagland. Concerning the pins, they were put in about a month ago, 30 days ago. So the way he phrased it was they're aged perfectly. So once again, talking to being in wine country, it's an excellent year, excellent vintage.
The grapes are in peak form. Oh,
and talking to the lane surface, not losing the energy in the early part of the pattern is going to be something as well. So mentioned that they would tend to the fronts would get chewed up pretty quick and would dry out. Ball would lose a little bit of energy. Not necessarily going to have that this week with the brand new install. So I think that he thought would offer a little bit higher carry percentage.
I think I certainly didn't draw it up in my head the way Nick Hoagland just wrote it out in those notes. But what my eyes told me is it sounds like certainly what you just mentioned. That it's hard to win a tournament sometimes when you don't get good carry, obviously. And I've seen a few 6 pins kind of roll over on the side, kind of clips and tens. We've seen a few messengers here and there as well. So that's always a good sign. I've only seen one 8-pin, by the way, just to throw that out there.
Ooh. Start working those in. Hopefully not too many, though.
A little different than where I was at last weekend. There was a propensity for 8-pins.
Nice job as well at the New Mexico Open for Bullstream TV there, Mr. Williams.
Appreciate that. Yeah, great event. Thanks to Steve Mackey and Dana Miller Mackey and their entire staff. And very, very good event. Very good event. And the only thing I'll take away from it, no, I'm just playing. Too many 8-pins. It also actually got me ready for this event, to be honest, because there were 8-game blocks. And so I felt like I was in training. We had talked about that a little bit earlier in a different scenario, but after Saturday, I was like, okay, 3 squads, 8 games. I think I'm ready for next week now. I think I can do it. Quick note about what Brad mentioned, and Sapphire and Foote competing this week. And I saw some folks comment on about her earlier, too. Just another example. We talked about Jillian. We talked about Annalisa Bryant, and you would throw Sapphire in that mix, too. Great young player, continuing to get better. So talented. I mentioned this at some point, but I think it rings true. The only way you get better or improve and get tournament ready is to bowl tournaments. And one of the differences between this generation now, as opposed to, let's say mine, where, no one, I don't think anyone really thought, and if you did, you were the elite, thinking about bowling with and against the best in the world. And now young players are doing that almost every week. And obviously the ability to do that is there through other avenues, Smart, for example, as well. And it just allows the youth of today to be much better prepared, along with coaching and additional resources. And they learn quickly. They learn earlier. And so when they get to, if it's their time to decide if they want to become professionals, they're more than ready. They can't wait to get out here.
Sapphire with a third place finish at the 2018 Junior Gold Championships in the U12 division. And while we have the opportunity, it looks like a few folks have picked a few different pairs to go to. Let's go ahead and go to 21 through 24. Take a look at a few different players here. So we'll toss the schedule up there for just a quick second for you good folks. And Emil, who are we going to be seeing right here?
You should see Daphne Tan. Shannon O'Keefe is on this pair. They're on. Shannon is on 19 and 20. Danielle is on 21 and 22. Daphne Tan also on that pair. Continue to see Annalisa Bryant, Deandra Asbeatty. Was talking with Matt and Jim Callahan, as well as Danielle. I think they're doing some fine tuning and trying to figure out. We talked about ball selection earlier with Curtis. Get that all squared away as well. O'Keefe is just to the left on 19 and 20. And speaking of Danielle, I mean, how about the, what role she was on last week? They'd be able to get it done when it counted, Talking about being clutch, right? If we recall last year what she had to do to win this title in the 10th frame twice. And so someone who literally is at the peak, potentially at the peak, but at the top level of this game. You think about world number ones. We know it's been a battle between her and Shannon O'Keefe for the last couple of years, and always is continuing to improve and trying to improve. What are the weaknesses? Trying to identify those to correct them and make them strengths, so she can continue to be the best across every single condition. They showed again last week, and it's such a short period of time. Aaron Smith, but she's getting close to that Hall of Fame eligible, category.
Very close to that, yes. Up to 7 career titles now. So usually 10 is the big number. A lot of players kind of circle for that. And the consistency she's shown over the years has suggested she'll get there much sooner rather than later. But already with the win in August at the Lucy, the PWBA striking against breast cancer mixed doubles with EJ Tackett. Had a solid showing at the Summer Classic Series before that performance in Spokane, and yeah, I think that's definitely a good point about that show in 2019 over there at Texas Station in Las Vegas area. Was that she didn't have to double in the 10th once to win that title. She had to do it twice. In the semifinal matchup against Shannon O'Keefe, found herself in the same exact position, needing a double to secure the victory. Was able to get that to advance to face Tanya Ramanpour. And then I mentioned it earlier for the preview story this week. I went back and I watched kind of that 9th and 10th frame of the U.S. Women's Open last time we had it, and I knew everything that was going to happen, exact order, everything. And it's a great stepladder final when you know that's going to happen, and you still get goosebumps watching it. And that one 100% knew exactly, knew what Danielle was going to do right after that final shot. Because I've seen the picture so many times over the years as well. Looking stuff up for that. So it's something you know exactly what's going to happen, but it still gives you the goosebumps just knowing how big of a moment that was, how clutch of shots those were. Pretty phenomenal stuff. And yeah, hard to argue against, someone, probably with the hottest hand of anyone on tour right now. Come into an event, she's defending her title. She's already won this one. She knows how to win. She's used to bowling a lot of games. And trending in the right direction heading into the second major of the season.
No doubt. It goes without saying what she has done, what she continues to do. And obviously, as we just talked about, who she beat in the semis. Shannon O'Keefe could very well find herself, of course, back in that position as well on the show. She owned 2019 certainly, and it's been interesting and a little fun just to see some additional players start to make their rise up the points list this season. But at the end of the day, right, when you look at the points list, where's Shannon O'Keefe?
In the mix.
Right where she needs to be. Right? It's like no matter how many times we, may be forced to discuss someone else, which, ultimately that's what you want to have a level of variety on a tour or in an professional organization where there are multiple players who can win at any time. The best it's never too far away. And that's still the case in Shannon's situation. And, one win here or a top five, and obviously whatever else may happen with other players in the points list, but she could find herself firmly. She's already firmly in the mix, but she could be a few places higher heading into the Fall Classic Series and ultimately the final event, which will be the Tour Championship.
Man, that Tour Championship in October is going to be something else.
Yeah, man. It's JT has spoke about this often, kind of the when the Tour Championship was created and trying to figure out how to best work it. The hope was that you would have these races, Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, for example, and obviously a major on the line. But all of those things would be decided at that event, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen again. Even though the peripherals and the details are slightly different than what we're used to. But in the end, it benefits the players. They get a few extra dollars, obviously, in this situation, and a couple of additional events as well leading up to it. So, it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to in that sense. Right, Matt?
Of course. I appreciate the opportunity to contribute to this broadcast. Thank you.
Anytime.
Speaking of this broadcast, it's on its about final 20 minutes or so before we wrap up pattern number 3 practice session. So we've already been going for about 70 minutes. 20 more minutes to go before we wrap up our coverage here on BowlTV.com for today. We'll be back at it 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow with A Squad competing in round 1, their first 8 games here at the U.S. Women's Open on the 36-foot pattern we introduced a little bit earlier today. And folks, the place to be to watch every game, every ball, BowlTV.com. So we're obviously streaming to a few different platforms right now. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube as well. We appreciate everybody for stopping by here for a little bit to join us, watch some bowling, have some fun along the way. But once competition gets underway, BowlTV.com is the place to be. A few different price points to come at to pick up a subscription. If you just want to watch the U.S. Women's Open this week, you want to see how this field develops getting to CBS Sports Network and that $100,000 top prize, you can pick up an event ticket to watch the live action for $8.95. You can pick up a monthly recurring subscription for $1 more, $9.95, which not only gets you the live event coverage, but gets you the opportunity to watch any archived events. So if you missed any action from along the way, you can go back, you can watch it. And of course, all the on-demand content on the site as well, available through a recurring subscription, either monthly or annual. The annual costs $79.95. It's the best way to support the PWBA tour. So all 20 events scheduled to be on Bowl TV this particular season. Transaction fees do apply with all those, but if you're looking at, wanting to try out Bowl TV for the first time, that monthly recurring subscription, taking a look at some other events coming up makes a lot of sense, because we have a pretty exciting September in store for you good folks, coming in the middle of the month. From September 9th through the 19th in Las Vegas over at Sam's Town, the Super Senior Classic, followed by the USBC Senior Masters, back-to-back. The top players 60 and over at the Super Senior Classic, and a major on the PBA 50 Tour at the Senior Masters. The top players 50 and over, going to be shooting up. A lot of legends out there. A lot of big names going to be joining the mix. The Pete Webbers, the Norm Dukes, the Chris Barnes of the world going to be shooting up. Hopefully, even my guy Eugene McEwen will be tossing some bombs there, like I know he can. But all that available here on bowltv.com. So in addition to all the great bowling action, we got a very lively Bowl TV chat community. A lot of great folks in the chat. It's kind of like Cheers. Everybody knows your name once you've stopped in once or twice. A lot of great questions, a lot of great topics. Talking about bowling, whatever else we may talk about. A lot of great engagement in the chat community. So that's another bonus of joining Bowl TV, is getting to be part of that chat community throughout these events, throughout the PWBA tour season. And of course, giveaways. What would be a Bowl TV broadcast without a giveaway? We have one in store coming up here in just a couple minutes. So if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you still have a couple minutes to create a login. If you haven't done it before, come on over to bowltv.com. You can say hi in the chat. And we'll have a giveaway coming up here in just a little bit. But throughout the rounds, we will also be having giveaways throughout the course of competition. And during our match play rounds, we have 3 match play rounds. We're going to be giving away 3 brand new bowling balls from the PWBA Gold Industry Partners in Brunswick, Rotogrip, and Storm. So the only way to win is becoming part of the Bowl TV community. So we certainly hope to see you join us throughout the course of competition here at the U.S. Women's Open. But head on over now. Still a couple minutes before we'll get that giveaway underway. One lucky viewer taking home a Bowl TV t-shirt.
Slightly off subject, Aaron, but I was just looking at some of the, I don't know if these are available yet online, so maybe I shouldn't even mention it. But I believe I saw some pairings. Per squad.
Did you say pairings?
Yes.
Yes, those are available online.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and mention it. So one of the interesting crosses that I just came across in, no pun intended, in A squad. Shannon Sellens, Dasha Kovalova, and Jillian Martin.
Wow.
And I'm only referencing in regards to 3 players who really know how to bowl.
That is a very fair point to say.
So, I know this is a singles event, but you're watching what, especially the players on your pair, certainly are doing. That could be a situation where someone's lost. It's easy to pay attention to where Jillian, Shannon is. We didn't talk about Shannon in this situation. You guys probably did earlier, but she made the show in 2019 as well. And every time she's out here, she's in contention, certainly to win. So that's a very interesting excuse me, very interesting cross.
Yes, that's. I think that one's going to get quite a few views throughout the course of the week as
Yeah,
as we make our way.
Yeah, good
Uh,
for
but
the viewership perspective.
yeah, Shannon Sellens, a non-member, elects not to bowl too many events throughout the course of the year. She kind of picks and chooses when she bowls because she stays pretty busy in New York with everything she has going on. She even was helping us out back in 2019 with some Bowl TV coverage as well. On top of, I think she has about 3 or 4 jobs all kind of going at once. She is an awesome individual, doing a ton of cool things, and on top of that, probably one of the best shot makers out there. If she was on tour, she'd be one of the best shot makers, but in general, just in the bowling world, one of the best shot makers out there. And finished 5th at the 2019 edition of the U.S. Women's Open. And yeah, that's a nice pairing. I'm sure all 3 of them were pretty happy to see that grouping when they got their first look at that.
Yeah, it helps see, and obviously this is U.S. Women's Open, and I know there are varying fields or invitations that get sent out to certain individuals based on performances in previous years, etc. But when you look at that pairing and you go, okay, you know, two winners and someone who could win and who's made a show at this very event, and who knows how to bowl, throws it exceptionally well. And I remember the first couple of times I saw Shannon on tour, and she would cash every time, you know, round of 12, etc. I always said, you know, it's pretty clear. Like if you wanted to, you could bowl out here every week because you certainly are capable of winning. But you know what she does on a day-to-day basis certainly handles the job for her in that regard. And when she's able to bowl, she can. And testament to her, man. You know, come out here when you can and just bowl against the best in the world, and typically at least cash. It says a lot about your game.
Very tough at the majors. We usually get to see her at the Queens and the U.S. Women's Open each year, along with a few other stops along the way. But yes, very, very tough competitor, especially when it comes down to patterns like we're going to see in round number 2 that require just phenomenal shot making.
Someone asked about Verity in the chat. There are really at this point, honestly, is minimal players. There's about just under 10 minutes left in practice. There are minimal players on the lanes at this point. Everyone, for the most part, I think, is looking at their ball card and figuring out, you know, what the final selections might be. So there's a lot of that taking place right now. I'm trying to think. Rocio is currently still competing on 27 and 28 are practicing. And then on 29 and 30, Gigi and Jada Horner are competing or bowling. Summer Jasmine is on 33 and 34. And she and Nathan were conversating and clearly about you know, what bowling balls may make the cut and which ones may not. So there's a few choices left here, but not very many. And Maria, of course, still practicing here on 25, 26.
Oh, with that rundown there, Mr. Williams, let's before it gets to the end of practice here for pattern number 3, let's get our giveaway underway. So, folks, if you're joining us on bowltv.com for the first time, thank you. We appreciate it. Hope you're having fun. This is going to work pretty easily. In the bottom left-hand corner of your video screen, you're going to see a prompt that's going to pop up that says a giveaway will begin soon. Watch here to participate. It's going to count down for 60 seconds. And then in the same exact spot right after that, another prompt is going to pop up on your screen. It's going to say the giveaway has begun. And there's going to be a submit entry button. And all you have to do is click that submit entry button. And you'll have an opportunity to win a Bowl TV t-shirt. We do recommend you take it out of full screen mode. Make sure you can see the chat and everything. But we're going to go ahead and get that underway here. How about now? We'll do it now. One lucky winner. Gonna be taking it home here. So best of luck. Thank you for watching Bowl TV, of course, and one lucky winner taking home a Bowl TV T-shirt here in our practice session.
Good luck to the people. Aaron, is it too early to say that Annalise O'Brien is going to win the professional title? In the future?
No.
Okay.
In fact, I would timestamp this on this broadcast, date it, and then when she does win, you can take it back to her saying that when you had competed earlier in the year in the U18 division at Junior Gold, just a month later.
Listen, man, there's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind. Just like many said the same, and I said the same about Jillian Martin. Same to me about Annalise O'Brien, without question. She's been on the same pair, 23 and 24, since this practice began, and has made the migration from the right part of the lane. And speaking of right side to the left, has moved in. But I mean, every shot is the same. I know it's practice. I get it. But she does this in competition too. It's just fun to watch. It just repeats so well. Throws it in just an incredible way.
Well, guys, we've talked about Annalise a little bit and Jillian Martin, of course, and I was scrolled through the roster earlier and saw Sapphire Nefuente on there as well. Another young standout. Can't be more than 17 years old herself at this point. We've seen her on some of our summertime TV shows, right? Back in the Junior Gold. Well, when it was here, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And on the USA Bowling as well. I believe she had a nice run. So great family there too from California. But a lot of success getting to watch these young talents grow up. I wouldn't be surprised to see multiple of them among the top 24 later in the week.
Can I agree with you more, Matt? USA Bowling, a great program, kind of building the team aspect of it, getting players ready for high school and collegiate bowling with the Baker system implemented throughout that, 4-player teams, Junior Gold Championships. Sapphire was third in U12 in 2018. Annalise, a 2-time champion, back-to-back in U15. And, that's one of the things that's been, and before I get back to that, congratulations to William for winning the Bowl TV T-shirt.
William.
Our marketing team's going to be reaching out to you in the next couple of days, so be on the lookout for that email to redeem your shirt. Thanks again to everybody for joining us here on bowltv.com, being part of the Bowl TV community. But getting back to Annalise, even thinking about some of those wins that she had, you mentioned here at the ITRC, it was when she got that first U15 win, backed it up in 2019 over in Detroit. But even the steps in her game from 2018 to seeing how she's how much her release has developed over these past few years. She's creating a ton more ball motion. The release has gotten stronger, and that was kind of the thing that really jumped out at me watching her this year at Junior Gold. We had her 300 game actually here on Bowl TV live as it happened, which was pretty awesome. But kind of getting to watch that game and just seeing how the game has developed over these few years is incredibly impressive. To kind of see her build it up. I don't want to say quite a power game because, Jillian's got the power game, but she is extremely versatile with what she can do with the bowling ball, and very excited. I mentioned her earlier, but very excited to kind of see her continued progression through the youth ranks. Eventually, we mentioned already on Junior Team USA, but through the collegiate ranks, and hopefully, if we're lucky enough, she's going to be joining us on the PWBA tour down the road as well.
Well, Aaron, one of my favorite parts of these types of events and the TV notes that we get to do is tracking some of the cool statistics, right? Normally it's how many players bowled collegiately or how many have bowled for international teams and earned medals at various events. And So we'll see a lot of that, no doubt. A lot of collegiate graduates and international players, but now we can add in junior gold TV shows to that statistic, right? We've got a handful of players beyond just those three who are recent, have made recent TV appearances in, as you said, the U12 division just a couple of years ago. But even going back, Missy Parkin back at the very first junior gold championships, right? 1998, Deandra Badian. Like, so that's just one more stat to add to the TV notes for the crew, and looking forward to hearing more about those stories as we roll through the week and see who's having success. And no doubt that's that's all part of one of your favorite phrases is the stepping stones of the USBC, and now it starts. Whereas before it started in high school or college, now it starts in the U12 division.
Stepping stones, one word.
100% right, man. That's the first place I saw Annalise, was in U12. And to be honest, I had to stop what I was doing. I was putting together a small little mini highlight deal that day, and I was just walking the concourse like we do at Junior Gold. There's always a lot happening, and then someone just you go, wait a minute, let me come back and make sure that's exactly what I saw. And then she repeated it, and then she's just been repeating shots since. It's just incredible.
Well, and guys, it's not like watching the Little League World Series where you see a kid that was 10 or 12 years old, and 10 years later, after high school and college, he's out there in the majors. Oh, I remember him. Here's a flashback to when he was on the Little League World Series. This is 5 or 6 years removed, right? We have young bowlers on the guy side, Anthony Nyer and Spencer Robars, also coming through the U12 and the U15, and they're bowling for major national titles on TV at 17 and 18 years old as well. So this is a very quick turnaround. They're that good, that young, and just the progression is so fast. Of course, being able to compete in these events, that when Rule 400 happened and they're able to come and compete in these events and test themselves against the best in the world and earn that scholarship money. Somebody posted in the chat that $100,000 in smart money. That's quite a bit, of course. These players, as Jason pointed out, are probably going to go to college and get that paid for, but they're making more than $100,000 in experience being out here and being able to compete in these events. And Jillian Martin just is one of many, and you've mentioned a few more so far.
Well said, Matthew.
Looks like we're all wrapped up here. It is on the half-hour mark, and just like that, you hear Tennille making her announcements. Announcing no more deliveries to be made here at the U.S. Women's Open until the next round.
Guys, these ladies just bowled for 4.5 hours. Some of them, they were out there the entire time. But 4.5 hours of just trial and error and practice and getting comfortable. And I don't know, you'd be dragging me out of bed sometime tomorrow. Because I don't know, being able to bowl 8 games of qualifying, I don't know if that's possible.
And cozy in the locker room, will only be allotted those 10 bowling balls in the locker room. So any extra bowling equipment will not be allowed. We will be doing random checks. Your next practice session on pattern number 4 will begin. Please keep in mind the locker room is quite tight and cozy, but we have made room for you to have those 10 bowling balls.
All right, looks like we're going to have a guest joining us here.
Your bags on top of one another.
So let's
Let's
move away from the lanes here and welcome in
6 p.m.
young standout Jillian Martin to the broadcast. There she is. Jillian, hello. Oh, Jillian, we may not have audio on you. If Curtis is
Oh, technology.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yes. Loud and
Awesome.
clear.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing well. We haven't been bowling for 4.5 hours, so that's really the question for you. We've gotten to see 3 patterns now. Obviously, this 46-foot condition, the potentially, we're thinking maybe a nice little treat after the 40-foot condition round 2. Tell us your impressions a little bit about the 3 patterns you've seen so far today.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the first, second, and third, they're pretty typical for just women's US Open patterns in general. That second 40-foot flat pattern, I think we pretty much expected a flat pattern of similar length. So that was pretty normal. That one's obviously going to be the hardest, just trying to find room to miss, room to play with, and just trying to control the pocket. I think the first pattern, that 36-foot pattern, a lot of people seem to be swinging the ball out to the gutter. It seemed up the gutter there wasn't an amazing look. So maybe some urethane in there for some of the higher rev ladies. So I know I definitely like my urethane a little bit on that first pattern. So we'll see how that goes. And then our last pattern that we just bowled on, pattern 3, the 46-foot pattern, definitely a little bit easier, could get a little further left and open up the lane, which I love. So it should be fun.
So, Jillian, I guess the question is to bowl that much in one day and still have all of these games ahead of you, right? Potentially 56 or hopefully 57 games ahead of you for the week. We know that your go-to is the chocolate milk, right? So I wanted to ask you that. You had mentioned we were in the ITRC after your victory. You had the trophy, and you were trying to talk your dad into stopping on the way back to the hotel to get enough to fill it up and drink from the trophy. Did that happen? And how much chocolate milk does it take to power you through 4.5 hours of practice and all of the trial and error and things that you have to do in a day?
So that did not happen in that moment, but actually the day we got home, I think that night we got a gallon of chocolate milk and filled it up, filled about 3/4 of a gallon. So that was pretty impressive by the trophy. So that was fun. And then today, I don't know, it's been a long day, but personally, I love to bowl for long periods of time. It's one of the things that I've always done. Sometimes I'll have 15, 20 game practice sessions, so it's really not a whole lot for me. And I think with all the games throughout the week, I personally believe that I'm kind of at a little bit of an advantage being how young I am, just being able to go out there and continue to have the same form, not really getting too tired or sore.
Youth
All right,
is
well,
served. I like that.
I am curious to see how much chocolate milk you can buy with $100,000, but that's still a few days away. But I know Aaron had a couple questions queued up for you as well.
Yeah.
Emil, if you want to go first, and then I can hop back in.
Yeah, sure. J. Mark, good to see you. And congrats. Obviously, it wasn't at the ITRC, so congrats.
Thank you.
On your win. Since that point, I know it's kind of been of a whirlwind a little bit from a media perspective. National Bowling Day, Fox and Friends. So what was that experience like, and how did you enjoy New York?
Yeah, so it was super cool. So I went to New York when I was pretty little, so I didn't fully remember it. So we got to do a couple cool things and just kind of have a good time out there. And then obviously Fox and Friends was awesome. It was an early morning, but I really enjoyed it, just kind of being able to be out there. And the outdoor lane too. I mean, it's a totally different experience, but I really enjoyed it.
I've had the chance to see that happen in person. We showed up when there was nothing there and watched the lane get built and put the whole thing together. And last time we were there with Andrew and Daria, it was torrential rain the entire time, but I hope it was perfect for you. And it looked like from your photos and everything that it was a super experience. And you definitely had a lot to talk about just a few days removed from that victory.
Yeah, weather was good. Everything was awesome. So we got to talk about the win a little bit, kind of just being the youngest and all that stuff. And it was really fun to just kind of be on Fox and Friends for National Bowling Day and just kind of get to be an ambassador for the sport.
Now, Jillian, first off, it still seems a little crazy that was like 2 weeks ago when that happened. It seems like there's been so much going on in the bowling world and just everything in general. So that being 2 weeks ago still seems crazy to me. But it's awesome that that's been that you got that experience on Fox and Friends. So we're glad to hear about that. I have to ask: has the senior year started yet for you?
So yeah, it actually has started. So I'm taking a few classes, obviously just in communication with teachers and everything, just to kind of figure out schoolwork and all that stuff. A couple of my classes are still online, so I'll be able to do some of that work out here. So that'll be nice.
All right. What class are you looking forward to the most this year?
I think my general psychology class. I think that'll be fun.
Well, we know this week will be a mental challenge for sure. So
Yeah.
hopefully the class, I know it's still early, but is going to prepare you for weeks like this as you attack what arguably is even tougher than the physical part, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so it's definitely very mental out here. Everything just trying to figure it out and figure out the lane conditions too, ball choices and all that stuff. It takes a lot of thought.
All right, Jillian. Well, we'll let you get ready if you're going to stick around for pattern 4, if you might be calling it a day. But we'll let you get ready for whatever's coming up next for you. But as always, thank you for joining us here on Bowl TV for the U.S. Women's Open. We look forward to watching you compete this week as well. And just best of luck out there.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, folks. Jillian Martin joining us here on BowlTV.com, the young standout, fresh off her record-setting win at the PWBA Bowl TV Classic. How cool is that? That's named after Bowl TV, the event that she won. You know, that's kind of low-key, very cool for us. I'm kind of excited about that.
No, I feel you. I feel you on that, Aaron. It's like we don't get many opportunity rewards thrown our way, but that's kind of it. Like Jillian Martin won our, she's got our trophy. She poured the chocolate milk in it.
Well, she did tell me 2 days before winning that she feels comfortable on Bowl TV. She's had success on Bowl TV. So the fact that it was the Bowl TV Classic, it was almost fate. And she called her shot for us, and she went and got it done. And that was a big trophy. So that was a whole lot of chocolate milk.
Nice job picking that trophy up, Matt. I know you had something to do with that.
They got to put my talents to use somehow, right? Especially when all you guys are here. I need something to fill my day until the squad's done. And it's time to write the story.
All right, folks. Well, we're going to call our shot, and we're going to call it a night. So we are going to wrap up our coverage here, the practice sessions from the U.S. Women's Open. So first and foremost, a big thank you to everybody for joining us here throughout the course of the day. Hopefully, you're as excited as we are for the upcoming competition over the course of the next couple of days leading up to the CBS Sports Network show. Once again, that's going to be Tuesday, August 31st, 7 p.m. Eastern time, to see who's going to be taking home the $100,000 first place check. First six-figure payday in professional women's bowling history. Just a couple days away, CBS Sports Network. But all the action before that is going to be here on BowlTV.com. So we certainly hope you join us along the way. We'll be here each and every round, each and every game. You can follow your favorite athletes throughout their entire qualifying and match play blocks. And it's going to be awesome. Big shout out to Double Decker Lanes, Jim Decker, the proprietor, BPWA president, for hosting the event this week as well. Brand new lanes installed for competition this week. So a big thank you to them. Of course, a big shout out to the USBC and the BPWA, their board of directors as well, for their continued support. Kegel, the official lane maintenance provider, as well. Double J out there this week, John Janowitz, the Hall of Famer, doing his thing. So big thank you to Kegel. Of course, for our athletes this week, this is the U.S. Women's Open. This is the event of the season. So we know they're going to put on a show for us. So big thank you to them for their continued dedication to their craft and for being great ambassadors for the sport of bowling. And finally, all the good folks on Bowl TV watching. We truly love being able to bring this bowling content to you week in, week out on the PWBA tour and at USBC short duration events. We're kind of crossing both paths here, which is awesome this week. And we're looking forward to bringing it all the way home until we get to passing the torch to CBS Sports Network for the finals. So big thank you to all the good folks out there for joining us, having a good time. And don't worry, we have more giveaways in store for you. So be on the lookout for that. Finally, for the Bowl TV team, Curtis VonKruger, Jason Thomas, Matt Cannizzaro, Emil Williams Jr., I'm Aaron Smith. We're signing off from Double Decker Lanes in the IBC Bowl TV studio. But we'll be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time, for round number 1 of qualifying. A squad's going to be hitting the lanes right then and there. So, folks, have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, as always, on Bowl TV, bowling lives here. Take care, everybody.